Hey everyone, this is Felipe. Welcome to another episode of Coming to America, or in Chinese, 美国移民论坛. I'm Felipe Alexander. So usually this channel is conducted in the Mandarin language, but this topic is very important to a lot of our non-Chinese speaking clients. And so I wanted to do this in the English language. And also because this concerns Hong Kong, and I know a lot of our friends in Hong Kong either feel more comfortable in English or just prefer to interact in English as opposed to Mandarin. And since I don't speak Cantonese, so we're going to do this in English, all right? And so today we're going to discuss the Hong Kong security law that pretty much the Congress in Beijing is about to pass, and what the repercussions could be for citizens of Hong Kong, and how that would render many of them eligible for political asylum in the United States. And so we see that this law is a clear effort, a very intentional effort to stifle, to limit, and to eradicate the rights of citizens of Hong Kong to freely express their opinion, especially about anything political in nature. And so we see that there are several grounds now where the Chinese government will be able to use law to punish dissent, to punish any speech that it deems counter to the mission of the Chinese Communist Party. And so we see certain clauses, for example, treason, anything that can be seen as treason, they're going to punish. Anything that can be seen as separatism, as advocating independence, Hong Kong independence, will be severely punished. Anything having to do with subversion of the government, anything having to do perhaps they feel that something is inflammatory speech, it's meant to incite, so inciting riots is also a category. And also revealing national secrets, that could be another category. Number 6 would be foreign political organizations that will no longer be allowed to operate in Hong Kong. And number 7, Hong Kong political organizations will not be allowed to contact foreign political organizations. And so let's look at this and see potentially what the reach is, right? Let's say, for example, somebody is making a video like this on YouTube. They're a Hong Kong citizen. They're making the video to vent their frustrations. They think it's outrageous. Pretty much, Hong Kong is going to become a one country, one system territory now, right? And they're very fearful, and they express their political opinion via this video. So is this treason? Yeah, right? I mean, they can get you on treason for this. Is this separatism? Yeah, you're advocating separatism. You're not agreeing with our law. Therefore, we can infer from that you're advocating independence. Subversion, sure. Inciting riots, absolutely. Because if a lot of people watch this video, they're going to have the tendency to want to go out to protest, and which could potentially turn into a riot. And a national security secret. For example, let's say if somebody obtained some information that happened, yesterday in Hong Kong, and revealed it to the world via a video on YouTube, for example, that could be deemed revealing national secrets. Okay, and as far as political organizations not being able to contact any foreign political organization, it doesn't define what a foreign political organization is. So even CNN could potentially be or BBC could potentially be a foreign political organization. And so there are many traps that are built into this law to snatch any citizen of Hong Kong who continues to protest, either in speech and writing or actual physical manifestations against the Chinese Communist Party and what they're doing essentially to Hong Kong. And this is very disturbing because there was a treaty signed by China and England and other countries. This treaty has been lodged in the United Nations, which promised that after the handover in 1997, China would continue to honor Hong Kong's freedoms of expression, etc., at the very least until 2047. And so people were, had this time to kind of undergo this mental preparation and to see what that would look like in 2047. But now we see Xi Jinping, he is fast forwarding this. This is fast track. Right now, this is happening, right? And this is a way to punish people for opposing heavily the extradition bill that was proposed a few months ago. And essentially the masses were able to shut it down. It was really an amazing manifestation of what protests could do. And it spoke volumes. Again, there was maybe a little bit too much violence that we would have liked to have seen, but it was on both sides. But anyway, the people's voice was very loud. And make no mistake about it, this is China's attempt to punish people for that, and also taking advantage of COVID and how not too many people are going to go out and protesting. Although if you watch the news, you see a lot of people. And so we have to hand it to the people of Hong Kong, because at this point, I think it's more like a Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death. Like some of these people are saying, you know what, fine, social distancing, I'll wear my mask, but you know what? If I don't have these freedoms that I was accustomed to ever since the day I was born, the day that my parents were born, even my grandparents were born, this is no life. So I'm going to go out anyways, right? And so this is what a lot of people in Hong Kong are saying. Hats off to them. Our prayers and support are with them. But these are indeed very scary times. And so, the effects that this will have, make no mistake about it, any kind of anti-Chinese Communist Party speech, any kind of speech, whether written, whether video, that is absolutely a no-no. Definitely any kind of protests, they are being severely cracked down upon. This will continue. It will be absolutely criminal to go out in the streets and even hold a banner peacefully that says, we oppose the CCP's tyranny on Hong Kong soil or something like that, right? And here's something I fear, and here's something that just might happen. We know that in China, not only is political dissent punished, but anything that can kind of be related to political speech or what the CCP deems as political speech. And one area of life that they have controlled, suppressed, and persecuted is religious freedom. And so in China, we know that they have some government-approved churches, which is really a very washed-down version of a Chinese communist propaganda organization. We have clients that have gone to those churches, and they say, you know what, there's a picture of Xi Jinping and Mao Zedong up there. There's a Chinese flag. They're talking about how we have to put the Chinese Communist Party first. It's not really Christianity. It doesn't fly for the true Christians. And so they go to house churches, which are illegal. They get arrested and tortured and persecuted, right? And so I see this law, and especially this opposition and this almost hatred for anyone cooperating with Western forces, as having a deep effect on people's religious rights in Hong Kong, because we know that first of all, there are a lot of foreigners in Hong Kong. Some of those foreigners were actually born there. And these people are also heavily involved in the religious community. And so, wow, the potential repercussions for this are truly great. And another area of deep concern, especially since I have many clients from Hong Kong, and I know how much they value their children's education, is how this will affect education in a very drastic, sudden manner. How so? Well, we know that thus far, Hong Kong has been a democratic society. They have enjoyed freedoms. And so in school, the kids learn about democracy. The kids learn about what happened in Tiananmen Square. Every year there is the world's biggest Tiananmen Square memorial held in Hong Kong. It's a visual. People bring their candles, etc. It's really beautiful. And so now in the classroom, if this law passes, if a teacher mentions the word democracy, that teacher's in trouble. He's breaking the law. Treason, separatism, subversion, inciting riots, right? And this will have a drastic effect on people's education. They're going to continue cracking down against Cantonese and Hong Kong culture. We're definitely going to see that. But this is very, very disturbing. This is why a lot of our clients come from mainland China. They don't want their kids exposed to that kind of brainwashing. And now that is essentially the kind of education that's going to be imposed in Hong Kong. And you're not going to get away with it just because it's a private school, just because it's an international school. everybody in Hong Kong territory is subject to that law. If I go to mainland China and I hold a banner that says, I think Xi Jinping is nuts, I will go to jail, no doubt about it, right? And so that is potentially what could also happen in Hong Kong. And so what we've been seeing, we've been getting a lot of inquiries lately. When something like this happens, you have different ways of thinking, right? And so some people say, well, you know what? I just want to work. I just want to live my life. I'm not going to be opposing this stuff. It doesn't really affect my everyday life, right? So just kind of leave me alone. Whatever the government wants to do, that's fine. So you have those people, and that's cool, right? They're going to be, doing their thing, and they're not going to be bothering anyone. You have some people that support the Chinese Communist Party. And then you have two people. You have people who feel that, you know what, I really want to fight for the future of Hong Kong. I know that the odds are stacked against us, but I want to stay here and I want to fight this till the end, right? And so people like Joshua Wong, for example, I mean, hats off go to those people, those young people, right? Decades younger than me, and they're making such an impact already. So I deeply respect them. But then you have the other people who have been making a lot of inquiries to us, and that is immigration. So some people in Hong Kong, before they thought of immigration, not because Hong Kong was bad, but because they wanted to add perhaps a new chapter in their lives, or they wanted to give the kids a new educational opportunity. But now there is a very different motivation for immigrating, and that is exactly why a lot of people from Hong Kong immigrated after 1949, right? It's communist rule. And so we've been getting a lot of inquiries for that. And so what options would be available to people from Hong Kong? Well, in our experience, a lot of our clients from Hong Kong, they are very well educated, they're very successful in their businesses or in their professions, and so we're able to do certain business visas for them, we're able to do certain investment visas for them, and we're also able to do certain like national interest waivers where they don't even need to have an employer because of their contributions, their resume, their background, and essentially the prospective impact that they can have on the US economy and society. We're able to get them what's called a national interest waiver. And so a lot of people, they qualify for those, but a lot don't, right? And so for those people, what can they do and what's available to them? Well, let me tell you that right now, asylum is definitely on the table for a lot of those people. Now, political asylum in the US, it does not restrict any country or territory. Like, for example, oh, you're from Hong Kong, you can't apply. You're from Taiwan, you can't apply. Japan, you can't apply. But traditionally, there are certain places where democracy is very widespread, and so the chances of you proving that you're going to be persecuted and that the government can protect you has always been very low. But now there has been a drastic change of circumstances in Hong Kong, and that people who violate this national security law by expressing any kind of political opinion adverse to the Chinese Communist Party, they will suffer the same kind of consequences that those people in mainland China are suffering, which is arrest, detention, persecution, and torture. And some people do not come out of this alive, right? And so I'm going to explain a little bit about what political asylum is, some of the grounds, and then we can discuss further like the evidence and the actual procedure to do it. But essentially asylum, one, you have to prove that you've been persecuted or that you fear being persecuted. Right? So for example, some people, let's say, they express their political opinion in Hong Kong, and because of that, they were arrested and persecuted. Well, then they satisfy that problem. Some other people, they've expressed their opinion, they've gone to protest, or they've said things online, they've made YouTube videos, but they haven't gotten caught yet, right? And then they come to the United States and they continue participating in that kind of advocacy, right? The Chinese government is going to continue keeping an eye on those people, and as they continue expressing their opinion, they become even a greater target for persecution. So first of all, it's whether I've been persecuted in the past or whether I have reasonable grounds to actually fear being persecuted if I return to my home country. The second requirement is that the persecution needs to be perpetuated by the Chinese government, okay? Or in this case, the Hong Kong government. It's the Hong Kong police are going to be, if they're not already, absolutely controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. And so therefore, any arrest, any persecution, or any agents of the government, or even civilians sent by the government would satisfy that prong. And then lastly, you need to prove that this persecution was because of, in legal terms, we call that a nexus. That it needs to be on account of a certain protected ground. For example, if the police arrest you because you owe them money, okay, or something like that, it's strictly a business dispute, that would not do, okay? But if you are arrested and persecuted based on one of the protected grounds, then you could be eligible for asylum. And so what are the protected grounds? Well, number one, it's political opinion. And this is probably the most relevant to today's discussion. Number two, religion, which we also feel will be infringed by this new law. Three, race, if you've been persecuted because of your race. Fourth, nationality. And so this would be extremely relevant in this case because people in Hong Kong feel that they have their own identity apart from those in mainland China. It's a different history, it's a different upbringing, it's a different culture. And so they feel a sense of nationality. And so because of that, they can also be persecuted. And number five would be the category that if we can't make it fit into one of the first four, we use very creative arguments to fit in number five, which is a particular social group. You have to be a member of that particular social group. And a particular social group, I would say, is a group that is socially distinct and that people in your society can definitely tell you are a member of that group. So for example, homosexuals, they are clearly a member of a certain group. In some countries, it's extremely unsafe for that population to live in those countries. Another category we've helped clients with is, for example, domestic violence. That has been considered in under certain situations to fit under the particular social group prong, okay? So somebody in Hong Kong, if they have expressed their political opinion, or if they continue to express that political opinion, even though they have not gotten arrested, they definitely have fear and they definitely have grounds to apply for political asylum. Again, this is really sad. I've been following this event. I've been seeing the writing on the wall, of course, hoping I would be wrong, of course, hoping that the protests and manifestations would somehow just quiet China down. But apparently Xi Jinping's ambitions to controlling as much people as he can is really overwhelming. And so I hope that through international pressures, this law does not pass, but those chances are looking slim. And so those of you that have questions about being able to come here and whether or not you would be able to apply for asylum, I would say you are absolutely entitled to do that. Just remember that asylum, you have to be present in the United States. You can't do it from an embassy, so you have to find a way to come here, whether, whatever category of visa. I cannot advocate for people to come here in unlawful methods, but I can educate people in knowing that if people are so desperate and they come in through the border, they can also qualify for asylum, although there will be many difficulties now with the Trump administration and whether or not you can apply for the best source of asylum versus the second one, which is called withholding of removal. Anyway, that's something for another day, and we are certainly not encouraging that, but we are just sharing information. But if folks do come here and you are able to present evidence, even in the form of printouts, websites, reports, articles you've written, protests you've attended, communication with people who are still in Hong Kong, letters from people in Hong Kong or other parts of the world that know about your political ideology, this would definitely qualify you for asylum, okay? So I hope this video was helpful. Again, I'm truly sorry for what's happening. We're going to continue monitoring the situation. If there's anything we can do, please let us know. And again, prayers and thoughts go out to Hong Kong. 香港加油，香港加油. Good luck, everyone, and I'll see you soon.